It's Nolan.
Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show.
Victim of constant comparison. Breaking away from their rhetoric. Told on myself like a therapist. I am not sharing this. I have been tethering. Built for the storm and I weather it. Doubt on myself when I'm better than 80%. I mean 90%. I mean all of these niggas. I'm shredding them. But what does it matter when nobody listens our way? To be honest, my extracurriculars bringing in most of the money I made. I've been comfortable moving my pace. Asking if I'm hungry, my nigga, I ate. Wait, glutton for pain, glutton for change. When I went through the struggle, nobody came. Who gon' pay this outstanding balance? Not go for me when your health fade. Can't move the same niggas, can't depend on the golden gum. It's just being honest. Sometimes I wonder if it'd all be different if I went to college. Probably not. At the end of the day, niggas need $1. I ain't never had writer's block. Moving independent, could've signed the cash. Trying to take the business to a higher notch. Finna kill the game, better call the cops, but I'm cool. I ain't got too much to be tripping about. Got a full fridge and a clean house. Got a 60-inch and a nice couch. Got a fine lady, she a great spouse. Making life plans for the future. Sometimes what's good for you might taste funny, kombucha. Ayy, but I got the master key. Making the masterpiece. Put on my everything into this craft. You can judge it right after I leave.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Now, in this video, we're going to be getting into SZA. She's got a new interview with GQ, and they asked her all about beef, all right? They asked her about the beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, where she stands on it. Seems to me some people are not all that satisfied with her answer. We're going to get into that. They asked her about Nicki Minaj, among other things. They also asked her about, upcoming music, where she's at in her career. So this GQ interview is not solely centered around beef and drama, but it does come up and she answers it to, the best of her ability, or at least the best of her ability at the time. So let's go ahead and get into it, because again, this seems to have ruffled some feathers out there. It seems that some Kendrick fans don't feel like the answer was adequate enough. Some Drake fans are mad. And of course, we've got Barbs that are angry as well. So this is a lot. But let's get into it. All right. So we got some photos here. We got SZA. And let's get into it. SZA on topping charts, making new music, and opting out of feuds. Opting out of feuds is a very interesting statement. All right, so this year has been the culmination of everything SZA's been working towards. Now she just has to process it. GQ's Fraser Tharp visited her at the studio where she's been holed up to talk about her new method for making music. Interesting. So we may hear some new vibes from SZA whenever she's ready to serve up the next plate. The yearning resurgence and keeping her standards high. Okay. So we start out, SZA says, I fucked up. Oh, shit. It's been about a month and a half since the singer returned home to Los Angeles after wrapping her first international co-headlining stadium tour. Of course, that's with her and Kendrick. It was the capper to an exemplary 2025 that included co-starring in her first feature film and a single that spent 13 consecutive weeks at the top spot on the Billboard Hot 100. And there will be a sequel to that film, you know what I mean? Which I'm looking forward to. Although niggas is on Keke Palmer's head top. Crazy. Anyway, a run that began shortly after she appeared in February's Super Bowl halftime show. She's been in go mode for the majority of the year. How then, after finally coming off the road in August, did she downshift and decompress? She didn't. And therein lies where she fucked up. Okay. I had no come down. SZA-born Solana Imani Rowe says in a tone that registers a half amused, half disappointed in herself. She says, I came back and I just went right into some bullshit. I don't know why I'm back in the studio making a whole other album, just doing a whole bunch of shit. Spending time outside my house for days at a time, I feel so frazzled. I wouldn't necessarily call that bullshit, but she definitely done got right back to work. You know what I mean? Whereas I guess her original intentions were to chill out, enjoy the success, live a little. But nah, she's still in work mode. Nighttime is falling over Burbank as SZA in comfy blue track pants Red curls blanket in her face, the first of several joints she will smoke tonight, nestled between her fingers, settles into a plush sectional at a recording studio. Walking through an arched door and into the oasis of the studio is akin to passing through one of those secret doors in Narnia. Outside, it's an otherwise drab block surrounded by warehouses. Nigga was dyslexic for a moment there. Warehouses and storage facilities. But once you step over the threshold, you may as well be in paradise. Wood paneled walls, walkways adorned with greenery, and 70s soul playing softly come together to create tranquility and stillness. Despite the quiet, you can still feel the industriousness of the space. Lattes and ginger teas for late night sessions are being brewed. Musicians materialize to work out a guitar melody in the common room before disappearing back into the booth. Okay? So it sounds like some luxury in this motherfucker, man. And remember, one of her last interviews, she talked about how, she finally got a really nice place for her mom because her mom wanted to live modestly. Beyond a couple more gates is the studio room that has been SZA's home away from home when she's not getting into pointedly undefined bullshit. Recording sessions notwithstanding, she has no immediate plans to release another album anytime soon, maybe not even in 2026 at all. So we may be on the hook for another one of those SZA moments, let's just say. All right, if it's not here by 2026 and 2027 comes and she starts throwing punch under the motherfucking bus, don't be surprised. But she wanted to meet here because this is just where she is these days, seeking respite from that frazzled energy, or more likely harnessing it and trying to figure out what comes next after the biggest year in her career. It feels like the culmination of everything I've worked towards in my career in 1 year, SZA says pensively of 2025, a year in which she neither released nor promoted an entirely new record. It didn't come after I dropped an album, so it felt weird. I didn't know how to place it. I'm like, why am I getting these accolades? What's going on? It was just so random, but I'm still grateful. I'm just trying to process it. And let's be clear, that fucking Deluxe was an album in itself. Internal emotional discombobulation aside, SZA's energy and conversation tonight, reflective, playfully self-deprecating, hyper-aware of public perceptions and narratives around her, matches the serenity of the studio. Maybe that's because she can see the light at the end of the tunnel, even if she has no clue where it leads yet. In the midst of all this uncertainty, a new sense of creative focus is emerging from these fruitful sessions. I think I'm just in a transition period, where I'm leveling into a new section of who I am as a person, and that requires whatever the fuck this weird-ass vibe is right now inside. It's time to shake. I don't know what I'm shaking or where I'm shaking to, but it is time to shake. I can feel it. That's an interesting feeling, She's got a sense of urgency about her, Which, again, a lot of people in her position would be chilling, resting, fielding offers, but not so eager to move. But she's ready to shake something up, shake the table. Like one of the insects in the bug world Fantasia on display on her live show, SZA is in the early throes of metamorphosis, but who is she becoming? SZA's place in the contemporary pop culture pantheon is that of a modern-day bard and distinct R&B pop soul blues grunge hybrid. That is a bar. Throw Lauryn Hill, Avril Lavigne, Bjork, Ashanti, and a handful of other 90s and aughts icons into a DNA recombinator, and you get SZA, our foremost translator of millennial angst. Her songs are unflinchingly honest and specific. I come, 'cause I miss you, goes the chorus of F2F. And yet that specificity is exactly what makes them so widely relatable. Lately, she's parlayed that status into new records broken, new chart stats achieved, plus 5 Grammys, and a project's worth of cutting floor bonus songs so well reviewed and cohesive that it could reasonably be taken as her third album. She's adamant that it shouldn't be. Okay. But nobody holds SZA to a higher standard than SZA. Compliment her on A New Frontier, like her acting debut in One of Them Days, the buddy comedy where she acquits herself quite nicely alongside a maestro like Keke Palmer, and she can't help but downplay it. She says, I thought it was finna be on. Not Tubi, but something like that. not to be in theaters. Oh, she didn't think that the project was gonna get picked up. Damn. She thought it was gonna go to a streamer. And the Grand National Tour with Kendrick Lamar, where she had sold out stadium crowds in the palm of her hand, it gets a shrug. She says, just try hard shit, get embarrassed, fumble, and then try to do a better job next time, I guess. Okay. SZA rejects the idea that she's some impossible to please perfectionist who will never be satisfied with her work, but she has her own high expectations. What I had in mind for myself versus what actually was executed on the tour is a far distance. That's interesting because I felt like she did an excellent job on the tour. So for me, I'm just like, she says, pantomiming an office-esque wide-eyed fourth wall, dead stare at an invisible audience. I just want to make great things, she adds earnestly, and I feel like if I didn't do something great, I can't lie and pretend that it was great. But I think we have such a crazy onslaught of mediocrity that the bar is in hell. So she doesn't feel like she did all that great on the tour. That's a very interesting revelation. I would love to know what it is that wasn't up to par for SZA. And she says she doesn't feel like she did a great job. So I don't know if it's the tour itself, the setup of the tour, or if it's just based on her own performance. It's not that SZA's standards are too high, but that everyone else's are too low. Maybe I'm just bored to death, she says with a sigh. Everything feels mundane. That's interesting. Just not interested, like, everything is blah. Okay. Some exceptions she calls out favorably: Doechii, Lola Young, and Chappell Roan. Instead of finding that wider lack of inspiration dispiriting, SZA sees it as a wide open opportunity. I love that though, because that's what it is. If nothing else is grabbing your attention, it's probably your opportunity to grab the attention. So I like that though. Wide open opportunity to go harder, to demand even more of herself and her art, despite knowing that even the mediocre could get accepted. It makes me just want to be a better everything, she says. I want to carve out the most dead-ass version of me that I can find. I want to excavate everything and see what kind of product comes from that excavation. I know every time I go through a spiritual or energetic or mental excavation, the external result is always something crazy in a beautiful way. Okay? The first step to that self-actualization is embracing a new approach in the studio. SZA has spoken before about being bemused by how some of her biggest and most acclaimed hits, Kill Bill, The Weeknd, Ghost in the Machine, were palate cleansers she made quickly and without much consideration in order to exercise a feeling, versus a ballad like Nobody Gets Me or a narrative like F2F that she put time and effort into crafting. This annoys her. Well, you don't know how to duplicate it, SZA explains. It was an accident. It's comforting because it's effortless, disturbing because you cannot replicate it on command. That's that lightning in a bottle thing, man. Now, all these years later, she might have finally found a way to hack it. She's been posted up in the studio, sometimes with the likes of Steve Lacy, interesting, and encouraging everyone in attendance to write some words on a scrap of paper. Okay, a little challenge. The scraps are mixed up in a hat, and whatever words she pulls out then inform the title and concept of a song she has to make from scratch on the spot. Finished tracks in the chamber include Passenger Princess, Burgers, and Yearner. Titles we get here. Will we ever receive them? Who knows? The process, fun as shit. And the results, fire, she confirms. Which, given how tough SZA is on her own work, must mean they're incredible. We'll hear these tracks in some form soon, she says, but they're just a taste of whatever her third album will become. She says, I had such a chip on my shoulder for so long. I was like, I don't even want to write in front of anybody. I don't want to have writers and blah, 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 she explains. But now I really want to know what it looks like to put my ego down. I haven't done it yet outside of Steve, but I want to call a writer team in. Okay, interesting. So she feels like there's another level that her music can go to, perhaps with the help of some outside writers. And we know that SZA has also done outside writing for other artists in the past, some of the biggest ones. So there's that. It's all part of Remaining a student of the craft versus fronting like she has it mastered. When you find a sound, you stick to it for too long. So you automatically go there, she says. But when you start attempting to depart from that and open your mind and ears to other means of melodic transportation, you find so many other sounds. SZA's unlearning curve has taken her down a wormhole of really studying the legends like Paul McCartney and the Beatles, the Delphonics, and Stevie Wonder, whom she sought out personally. She says, I had a wild ass morning with him once. She says, I'm meeting Stevie. He was playing the piano, just me and him in a room. I was crying and having an emotional breakdown, and he was just writing song after song. The goal at this early stage of her next album, at least, is to deliver some certified bangers and infuse these songs with so much intention that it's just palpable to anybody. Lately, though, what a lot of fans of contemporary R&B and pop have been asking for online is a return to real yearning. It's a call SZA seems more equipped than most to answer. And when they say real yearning, that's like, you know, that old R&B, that crooning, that agave love, or whatever the fuck they call that shit, agape love. I don't think she need to be out this bitch begging, but you know what they talking about. I said agave love. But her attitude, I guess there's some people out there that can relate to that too. I love agave, fuck it. But her attitude toward the movement is wary and a little cynical. You don't even know what you're asking for, SZA says, referring to the posters calling for a yearning resurgence. I feel like people just took the word yearning, saw it memeified with a couple visual references. Don't people do that? She brings up Drive by the Cars and breaks out singing the refrain. Who's going to drive you home? Can't go on thinking nothing's wrong. She says that shit is yearning, approvingly. I don't even know if today's kids are comfortable enough to yearn. That's another very valid piece. Are they? But honestly, I ain't gonna lie. I can't wait till artists stop driving their conversation around creativity, music, entertainment, etc. based on the minds of so-called kids, 25 and under. You know, not to say that they're not valid, but they're going to go with what feels right. It's your job to offer it on the plate. You bring out the motherfucking the buffet rack and they will fill their plate. You know what I'm saying? Don't do it till they approve. They're going to eat what the fuck is on the menu as long as it's prepared the right way. Anyway, she says, I feel like they be judging too much to yearn. Like if the yearning don't coincide with the collective identity or ideologies, then it's lame to y'all. But perhaps you don't understand the myriad facets of yearning. Again, go against the grain. That's your art is against the grain. Anyway, we'll be on that all day if I don't move on. SZA fishes around in one of her bags for glasses as the night grows later, then stretches out across the couch. I ask her about her collaborative chemistry with Kendrick Lamar, which hit a prolific peak at the same time he's leveled up into a new imperial phase. Imperial phase, that's an interesting term. It's another way of saying he's the fucking king. He's such a professional human, she says. The way he approaches everything is so methodical but fluid. It's beautiful. I definitely have just tried to observe. And you know, he's so mature. I love working with him. And it's funny, when I do, I don't ask any questions. I just do it. And I love that as freedom too. It's like removing choice creates freedom. SZA does a double take smirking as she plays her own words back in her head. I know that sounds so crazy to say in a time like this. I'm sure that'll be the headline. Removing choice creates freedom. SZA loves fascism. Okay, that's a joke. She takes another puff as she goes into more detail about her new whatever happens, happens mindset, as if the last remnants of any anxiety leave her with each exhalation. This sanguine approach served her well recently. For instance, her proximity to Kendrick made SZA an inadvertent element of curiosity as his beef with Drake unfolded. Despite her longtime ties to Kendrick's former record label Top Dog Entertainment, Kendrick tried to sow dissent, name-dropping her in one of his disses, alleging Kendrick's career is in her shadow. Right before the battle kicked off, she appeared on 2 singles from Drake's most recent solo album, but once it was underway, she stayed out of the fray. All right, so this is where we get to some of the shits. It was something between two grown-ass men, she says. So why would I insert myself between something between two grown-ass men, you know? SZA says coyly. And I feel like that's how everybody felt, with the exception of people who didn't feel that way. I'm guessing the ones who jumped in. She chooses her next words carefully. I didn't really have any stake per se. Obviously, I love Kendrick. I'm signed to TDE. That's my family. Obviously, I've known Drake for so long and we have a beautiful rapport. Of course, they dated many moons ago and people are speculating about, the exact dates. And obviously, it's always unfortunate when the unfortunate occurs. That didn't stop her from letting her and Drake's Rich Baby Daddy collab ring off on every Grand National Tour stop. She says, why wouldn't I? She asked with an impish grin. Poetic Justice was in the set list, she says, referring to Kendrick's 2012 classic with Drake from Simpler Times. Funny how that song keeps coming up. So why wouldn't I keep Rich Baby Daddy? The thought that it might be taken some type of way didn't even occur to her, she says, until fans started calling attention to it once the tour began. She says, I don't know why I wouldn't be celebrating some shit that I ate up, she says with a laugh. All right, so this is one of the pieces. She says, why wouldn't I perform Rich Baby Daddy? Kendrick's doing Poetic Justice. So we having a great time. But of course, Poetic Justice is a Kendrick Lamar song from a Kendrick Lamar album, and it ain't telling nobody to shake their ass for Drake. But I don't give a fuck. It was a good time when it played. I'll tell you that much when I was at the show. So I really don't care. But some people do. Okay? She did have her own more direct brush with negative energy earlier this year when Nicki Minaj's roulette wheel of beef bizarrely landed on SZA. She was a target so random, even Cardi B hilariously took a beat during her own spat with Minaj to voice the collective confusion on X. Who the fuck beef with SZA? This meant days of rants from Minaj on X and on her station head radio platform, where she laughed at the idea that SZA's stature in music could ever be compared to her own, alleging that she and Beyonce didn't like SZA's writing contributions to their 2014 collab Feeling Myself, and claiming she could barely name any SZA songs. Jesus. SZA briefly engaged, effectively neutralizing all of Minaj's derision with a screenshot that showed Minaj reaching out in a text for a possible collaboration. And of course, Nicki tried to make it seem like Punch wanted it, but it was clear that SZA was not working on a song that Nicki was checking in on. SZA says, I don't know her. SZA says slowly, drawing out each word. We have no connection to each other. There's no backstory. Like there was no through line narrative. It was just like Rock Nation. Gotta say it like that. I don't know where it came from. That's not even my place to correct the narrative that I don't got shit to do with. It was a little strange. It was very like, why? But also, I guess. I love how people actually in the music industry also mock this Rock Nation shit. Pure gold. Maybe the old SZA would have really gotten into the muck with Minaj, but as SZA gets older, she'll turn 36 on November 8th. She's becoming more zen. Or in Ride, SZA's self-criticism terms, she's learning the art of giving up. Hey, but she was, hey, I don't worry about none of that bullshit you on was enough. For real, for real. And I'm going to show that you was out here goddamn trying to get a song, and I wrote your motherfucking verse on that song while you out here playing. Which takes the ceiling off of some people's claims. Oh, nobody ever wrote my bars. I did. That was his to say. Anyway, although she's in a period of discomfort and confusion, she's trying to use the intense pressure she describes feeling lately to push through to something profound. I'm a grown-up for real. I'm trying to biohack my health and get my cortisol levels in check and make the best album I've ever made. See my grandma before she get out of here type shit. Keep my parents' health in check and tap in and see all my friends fulfilled. Like, how can we build together as women? What's our life plan when we're moving forward? Real nigga shit. Real nigga shit, we'll say. Not like, oh, I'm about to crash out. It's more like, no, it's time for life to be built. TM. She trademarks several statements she makes tonight for added emphasis. Okay, so TM is like, I'm trademarking that. Okay. There was a time, she admits, when, like any artist starting out, SZA thought that money, acclaim, and success would effectively solve all of her problems. I definitely thought when I won a Grammy, like, it's over. And it's not, she says. I don't know if I had career goals per se. I had respect goals for myself, where it was like, when I do this, I feel like I'll be respected and have respect for myself. And I crossed those benchmarks and didn't even notice that I was crossing them. Very real. She quotes an old Nas bar, by the time you could afford it, the car ain't important. From SZA's perspective, the moments are so heightened, the stakes, achievements, and effort so overwhelming that she can't actually process it in real time. I might have checked out. I'm only just looking back at 2023, 24 SOS tour. Like, that was fucking crazy, which, of course, that was a solo tour. So around 2028, by her estimate, is when she'll be able to really sit with everything that's happened recently. I'm not even far enough removed from anything this year, from the Super Bowl, from anything that happened. 3 years from now, I'll be like, what the fuck? And then she smiles and takes a hit of her joint. So she says it really won't set in until damn near 3 years from now, everything that took place in 2025, which makes sense because right now she's looking at it kind of scoffing, kind of like, it's cool. Everything is cool. I'm not so interested. That was nice. But further down the line, it'll really set in what she was able to accomplish. So yeah, I feel like these answers was, although she addressed it as far as the Kendrick and Drake beef, I feel like those were really really safe answers. I don't see why anybody would be mad. I think some people are, I guess, expecting SZA to come out here and go on some Kendrick Lamar tirade, and I don't know. I don't know what people expect. I don't know if people expected her to just swanton dive on Drake and shit on him in midair. But clearly SZA's situation, her position in the industry, is not indicative of the Drake Kendrick beef. It's not really indicative of Drake or Kendrick, although of course she's worked with both. She's also a woman, which she pointed out. Like, why would she just get up and really get involved with that whole thing if she doesn't have to? If Drake is not, taking direct shots to make her look crazy or anything like that. Now, of course, we did hear about her contacting Drake when the DJ That Don't Spin got out of line. And once upon a time, Drake, put Homeboy in check. But now that tensions have risen, he wasn't so eager to put Homeboy in check, which I find to be pretty disgusting. But for her, I don't think she's really eager to talk about Drake, or the battle or anything like that. She didn't really give a lot of insight into it or anything like that. She says, I checked it out. It was unfortunate, and I think behind the scenes, she really enjoyed that nigga get knocked the fuck out. But it ain't necessarily her place to come in and gloat about Kendrick's victory. Right? So I think that's just what it is. When it comes to Nicki, she could have easily shit on Nicki. She could have easily, doubled and tripled down and been like, you's a fucking weirdo. When I see you, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. You sorry sack of shit. I'm going to fry your ass up like fresh potatoes. All type of shit. But she didn't. She just said, I don't know her. I don't know what her problem is or what the fuck she got going on. This is the length of the history that we have. You out here capping for the people. I don't understand it. But outside of that, stay out my motherfucking way. I'll stay out yours. I think that's a very fair assessment. So again, I don't understand why any fan base would be trying to pile on SZA or trying to be angry at SZA. Like, what the fuck, man? What y'all wanted to do? Go in the studio and write a fucking 16? Revamp the beef with Drake and say, nigga, let's do 5 days back and forth in 2025? 26? just so everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. It's all gravy. She's got her own career. She got her own shit going on. But anyway, salute to SZA. Salute to GQ for landing the interview. We'll see if we get any new music in the coming months. She says she got some shit that will come out and kind of set the tone for when the album drops, whenever that is to drop. But right now, she's pretty tight-lipped. I'm not even sure why she conducted an interview at this point. But that ain't my job. All right? Let me know what y'all think down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Become an insider. Check out some of that Family Over Fame gear. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Miss Wendy, who also placed an order. So we getting some leeway, getting some headway. And man, boy, I just knocked out a motherfucking blapper. I ain't even gonna call it a blapper because it's actually, you know, a little bit more softer. But I can't wait till y'all hear this shit because it might get me sued. So yeah. Music on the way, baby. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Peace.
Yeah, family over fame in this bitch, yeah. The glory of living righteous is setting in. My street knowledge and education's a perfect blend. Young mogul, independent, I've been setting trends. The first one from my family to be faithfully wed. Fuck niggas and the horses that they riding on. I see this shit from all angles like a polygon. I'm never politicking, the drama be piling on. Father and great son acknowledged like I'm Bobby Bonds. Conversation with my lady about the paper route. 5 sit bank accounts, every day I make it count. They down talking my commentary for hating now. Well, I can take it cause I'm bodying your favorite now, please. I can do this shit in my sleep. I been writing for these niggas, y'all read it and weep. I been fighting these niggas if you speak on the street. I'll turn your birthday party into New Year's Eve. Don't let me take it there. We ain't playing fair. This the ATL, Southside nigga moving furniture like Wayfair. Life on hold, no insurance for your healthcare. Lifeline gone, so you wanna be a millionaire? Well, let me tell you about this world I built. The women I dodged, the niggas that I read for filth. The sympathy